So welcome to the Hybrid Warfare Analytical Group's UCMC podcast, where our analysts convene to delve into the realms of Russian disinformation, propaganda, and the influence of hybrid warfare in 2024. The topic of today's conversation, elections in Georgia. So on the 26th of October, Georgia's parliamentary elections presented quite a pivotal moment. The longstanding ruling party, Georgian Dream, it's called, are considered the ever-moving closer to the Kremlin party, or in other words, pro-Russian or bought by the Kremlin, against the pro-European opposition. Following the full count of their ballots, Georgia's Central Election Commission confirmed that the Georgian Dream has secured, apparently, 53.9% of the votes, giving them the majority, as the four opposition alliances collectively only gained 37% of the vote. The Georgian president has come out on Sunday to say she does not recognise the elections and calls for protests, although protests so far haven't really amounted to anything much. Nothing more than we've seen over the last couple of months anyway. And she called for the elections not to be internationally recognised. But what is clear from this, the election results with the Georgian Dream's apparent victory are sure to shape Georgia's foreign policy direction and its aspirations, or perhaps better to say lack of, for European integration in the future. So today we've got with us my colleagues and analysts from Hybrid Warfare Analytical Group at UCMC, Volodymyr and Tori. Tori, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to speak a little bit more about the Russian interference before and during and perhaps even after. But obviously we saw, and it's widely known now, widely discussed, that the Georgian Dream party, they were trying to kind of create this fear-mongering in the voters before they even went to the election polls, as if you choose the opposition, this is a step towards war. What about you? What did you see before? To what extent can the results be attributed to Russian interference? And is there any documented evidence of such interference existing?
Yes, so as for the fear-mongering, yes, it was a huge part of the narrative. It wasn't just like getting Georgia to fight against Russia. It was also about how they will practically sacrifice you. Georgia will be destroyed in 3 days. Narratives like that, which were heavily mirrored in the Russian propagandist channels. And after the election passed and the results were counted, there has been international missions indicating that there have been multiple cases of violations of the election process.
If we know, though, that they've got this violation, if so many violation has been documented, why has nothing so far happened for it? Why have they declared victory? What are the next steps? Is there any kind of news and knowledge as to what happens next?
Basically, it's a complicated situation in terms of even if there is proof of the election being tampered with, it's not like anyone other than the Georgian people can do anything about it. And obviously, Russia and the Georgian Dream will not take the responsibility. They will not tell us the truth. As of now, there are protests being organized, like opposition and even Georgian president are calling people to protest the election and calling it stolen election by the Georgian Dream in Russia. But at the same time, Georgia's Central Electoral Commission might be recounting ballots at 13% of the polling station, but at the same time, it's hard to say if the result will bring light to the situation.
So it could possibly lead to nothing. In the end, there could be huge protests, which are, of course, very important because it shows the will of the people, and it needs to show actually where, obviously, Georgia being a democratic state, that democracies can protest. It's actually interesting what you said about how the president is also saying there that it's a stolen election. There was one of the Ukrainian politicians, Alexei Honchenko. He went there as an observer, I believe, which Russian propaganda has tried to spin in a way that he was there to set up a Ukrainian-created Maidan for Georgia. And he called it a bought election because obviously the amount of money that people were paid to vote for a specific party, just like in Moldova, which we're seeing. So very much in tandem with how Russia has operated in Moldova, operates the same in Georgia. Volodymyr, how has, since all of this has happened, how has Russian propaganda responded to the outcome? What I've seen is that it's been actually relatively quiet to a certain extent. It hasn't really made any of those crazy big statements, but it has commented on the situation, trying to take a more neutral, we're not involved, and that's kind of it. What have you seen?
Hi, Matt. So we noticed that Russian propaganda mainly praised the victory of the ruling party in Georgia, and the main idea for Russia is now to undermine all the pro-European successes which was made by Georgia during last years. For some reason, nowadays Russian approach towards Georgia in the information space corresponds with the aims of the Georgian Dream, the ruling party, because what we have witnessed since December 2023, when at the background of the war in Ukraine, Georgia received the candidacy status for the European Union. From that point, authorities was trying to undermine the European path for Georgia with accepting absurd laws that was like a copy from Russian legislative, which underscores Georgia's positions regarding European integration. So in this regard, Russia tried to pose the results of the election as its geopolitical victory in the South Caucasus, because if we have a look in a broader scale at the region, we may witness the attempt by Russia to recover its geopolitical presence, because since the Second Karabakh War of 2020, it was widely spread idea that Russia lost its position. And now it is very important for the Kremlin to show the West, to show the local powers like Turkey, Iran, and China, which is very interested in transition routes through the South Caucasus, to show them that Russia is still influential power in the region, and the pictures of the Ukraine-Russian war is used to influence the fears, to fuel the fears of local societies and impact on the results of the local elections in regard for Russia.
Volodymyr, you say there about obviously the consequences militarily that could come out of this as well. But is Georgia then, is it lost forever? Has it lost its chance now, at least for the next 10, 20 years, however foreseeable future, to join the European Union, to go kind of towards the West instead of Russia? Has it lost that chance now, in your opinion?
I think somehow it depends on the developments of the political crisis, which is now occurring in Georgia, because for launching the session of the new elected parliament, at least 100 MPs should receive their mandates. And now Georgian Dream received only 89 mandates according to the results, to the final results. So they need to receive at least 11 more MPs, while all 4 opposition parties declared that they will not receive the mandates. And that means that the main talk of opposition is on the new elections. So we will have a look whether Georgian authorities will succeed in their attempts maybe to bribe or blackmail opposition parties, because if the new parliament will be consisted only from the members of Georgian Dream, that will underscore and undermine legitimacy of the parliament in the eyes of the West. And it will be very complicated for European Union and for United States to communicate with the new Georgian government. And obviously that will freeze any further steps on the path towards the European Union. But at the same time, the West understand that if the ties with Georgian Dream will be cut down, that will push Georgia to the arms of the Kremlin. And the main issue is even not an attempt of Georgian Dream to maintain in power in the price of fraud elections, but the impact of the Russia-Ukrainian war on the societies of the bordering countries, of the countries which are looking for EU membership, like Georgia and Moldova, and lack of resoluteness, lack of determination by the West cause implications for perceiving the European Union as the actor who may succeed in the security of the countries which are looking for candidacy.
So all is not lost as of yet. There's still some time to salvage the situation, obviously depending much on the political will of the opposition party in Georgia, the political will of the West, the European Union and the US, and obviously, and most importantly, the Georgian people, which, as we've seen, has huge amounts of similarities of the bravery and the ironness about their democratic and free future. Thank you very much for coming on both today. It was great to obviously analyze the situation and understand it better in small, succinct bits of information. Until next time, bye-bye.